Oh, hello,
So he's out there
everyone.
with the tear gas saying, "Get back."
So we're gonna
If
play
you don't
some
want to get
EU5
hit with the tear
this
gas,
morning.
maybe get off the streets. Maybe stop
Yeah.
interfering with federal
I'm
law
gonna try and
enforcement
keep
and their
our
ability to enforce a law.
Greenland
This seems like
campaign going a bit.
more than a reasonable
we're
request.
gonna try and
Thank
get
you,
enough
Mary
pop
Clark, for
to
joining the Decoy League.
get our masons up and running so we can build a
They're
bit
throwing
more
stuff at 'em, too.
actual buildings. And then eventually we're gonna try and obtain a supply of wood that we don't have to import. So let's get started.
Testing and getting away and throwing rocks and banging on cop cars.
Brooke 24, short guys swipe left. A quote man under 6 feet is not a real man. Sorry, not sorry. Smokers swipe left. 420 friendly pass. Make under 100K. Not interested. Sorry, but I have to be direct and I know. I know what? No, I don't agree with this because usually someone like this says that she's also looking for a man to take care of her 3 kids from 3 different dads. That's the difference. Yeah, no, that you can tell that it's not real because
the Romans hated the ancient Britons. They thought they were weird, bow-legged, and didn't know when they were conquered. Hello, my name is Hadley and I'm an archaeologist. In this video, I'm going to show you ancient texts written by Romans about how much they despised the Britons. The Romans called this island here Britannia, and that soon became the name of the province when the Roman army conquered the southern part of it. The conquest reached somewhat of an equilibrium around this part of modern-day England and Scotland, and this is where the Roman lines of fortifications were clustered. This is a letter written about 1900 years ago by a Roman soldier. The letter itself was found at Vindolanda Fort, along what would become Hadrian's Wall 2 decades later. Even in this period, the soldiers who garrisoned these border forts would have come across the inhabitants of Free Britannia more than most people in the Roman province. And let's just say many didn't like them. The letter is a scouting report because the Roman army would send out scouts to try and determine what the British soldiers were up to, what kind of strength they had, that kind of thing. Here's what it says translated into English. The Britons are unprotected by armour. There aren't many cavalry, but they don't use swords nor do the Britunculi mount in order to throw their javelins. That word, Britunculi, there, at one point stumped a lot of scholars. Many translated it as Little Britons or Wretched Britons, but actually more recent scholarship has suggested the best translated being Britons, because I'm going to say in this video. I do find this quite funny though. The idea of these non-British soldiers talking effing little Britons, throwing javelin, even being on the backs of their horses, an annoyance that these soldiers with every single day. The Romanics, the south part of Britain, by about 50. Julius Caesar led expeditions against the Britons. He claimed that they were aiding the Gauls whilst he was busy conquering them, but they probably were other things. Britannia occupied a semi-mythical place in the Roman. It was an island drift in the ocean. Most Romans in history weren't used to dealing with tides, so the rise and fall of the ocean, as they would have seen it, must have been terrifying. Of course, there were stories about warrior priests and powerful foreign gods. Scary stuff. So if Caesar led an expedition and tamed the wild island, he would gain immense prestige for his colleagues. Caesar's expeditions, both of them, didn't penetrate much further inland than Kent. Caesar had the details, and these are to this day in a highly realised format. But he says that the he visited was much like that of Gaul because of Gallic immigration. Most of the people lived in the countryside. They had a few units built by the elite, and the Britons made particular use of chariots. These weren't scythed like Eastern chariots, but they were used as transportation for the warrior elite. They would roll up to battle, throw a few javelins, engage in melee combat, and then roll away on their chariots if things got a bit hairy. Caesar describes the bizarre practices of the inland Britons. Here's what Caesar says, translated into English.
Do not grow corn, stepped and clean. Britons with wood blue colour, and as a result their appearance is all the more daunting. They wear their hair long and shave all their bodies with the exception of their heads and upper lips are shared between groups of people, especially between brothers and between father and son. The offspring are considered a man with whom the woman first lived.
Well, that's Paul's claims. Perhaps Caesar did see a few of the inland Britons during his conquest, but I think that he's basing his descriptions on tales and a general xenophobia. We know for a fact that inland Britons did grow corn, but they also reared cattle, sheep, pigs, goats, and of course, they drank the milk and ate meat. Caesar was misinformed, or was deliberately misinforming his readers about that. The thing that tends to capture everyone's imagination is, of course, the wife sharing. There is no other evidence for this other than what Caesar claims. Personally, I don't think we can trust him. The ancient Britons didn't appear to have much of a problem with monarchs or chiefs. Cartimandua of the Red Boudica of the Iceni are two notable examples from later history. Perhaps Caesar was over-extrapolating this total rule as some wife-sharing hellscape. To Roman, there would be nothing worse because of the immense value they placed on inheritance and being sure who the true father was. Ironic that Caesar, a famous adulterer with other men's wives, would make up a story about the morally outrageous practice of wife sharing. Some archaeologists see these expeditions to be far from it actually establish various climates. We certainly do see the Rome made stuff in elite British contexts. Jars for storing wine and olives, bronze medical kits, jewellery, and even this outstanding medallion featuring the first Emperor Augustus. Maybe, but any kind of Roman rule was by proxy, if there was any major influence. After a major disaster at the Teutoburg forest, where thousands of Roman soldiers were slaughtered by Germanic war bands, the Emperor Augustus appeared to have a rethink of imperial strategy. The days of endless conquests were over. It was time to entrench. Britain, therefore, was to be taken off the cards as a province. Strabo was a Greek geographer and writing at the time. He was very much on board with the Roman Empire. He may have even had Roman citizenship. He argued that the cost of garrisoning Britain would have outweighed the revenue brought in by charging import and export duties, tariffs. We don't have economic data to say whether he was right or wrong, but I believe Strabo here was towing the party line of Augustus. Britain was a horrible place, not even worth conquering. Here's one particularly damning passage translated into English.
The men of Britain are taller than the Celts, not so blond and of looser build. As an indication of their size, I saw myself some in Rome little more than poised, standing as much as half a foot above the tallest in the city, though they were bow-legged, and in other respects lacking any gracefulness of body. Their customs are in some respects like those of the Celts, in other respects simpler and more barbaric. As a result, some of them, through their want of skill, do not make cheese, though they have no shortage of milk. They are also unskilled in horticulture or farming in general. They are ruled by chieftains. In war they mostly use the chariot like some of the Celts. The forests are their cities, for they fortify a large circular enclosure with felled trees, and there they make themselves huts and pen their cattle, though not for a long stay. Their weather tends to rain rather than snow, and on days when there are no clouds, fog persists for a long time, with the result that throughout the whole day, the sun can be seen for only about 3 or 4 hours around noon.
Wow, who would even want to conquer Britain? This description reminds me of colonial explorers talking about lands and peoples in the New World. They didn't really understand them, but they certainly thought they were superior to them. Some of what Strabo says is untrue. The ancient Britons were excellent farmers. The point about some Britons not being able to make cheese is something I've been researching for years, and that's not even an exaggeration. I've yet to find an example of an Iron Age cheese strainer, so maybe he was right, but you don't actually need a ceramic strainer to make cheese. That was just the preferred Roman method. Iron Age people could have used baskets or bags, things that don't survive well in the archaeological record. Some of Strabo's points can be worked to match existing archaeology. For example, when he says that the cities of the Britons are their forests, he's probably talking about hill forts. These seasonally occupied centres of power where the nobility and other key people fortified themselves with their cattle in these structures. Compared to Pontus, modern day Turkey where Strabo was from, Britain was cloudy, but compared to northern France, not so unique. I've spent a lot of time in this video talking about the negative attitude, shall we say, that some Romans had towards ancient Britons. However, I think I could also make another video about all the ways in which some Romans loved some ancient Britons. There was intermarrying, Britons fighting on behalf of the Roman Empire, people wearing necklaces with the Roman Emperor's face on them, and that's not to mention the Emperor Constantine's great soft spot for the province. History is a complex beast where people can hold simultaneous and contradictory views on identity and how they feel about other people. But thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know if you come across any Iron Age cheese strainers from Britain though. I'd be very curious about that.
Do you have two EU5s running? Oh, I do. With what? That's weird. I've never seen that happen where it launches two of the games. Okay. And spear ye of a Charlie, come through the heather, around him gather your all the welcomer early, around him cling we all your kin for Walby King but Charlie, come through the heather, around him gather, come Ronald, come Donald, come all together and crown your rightful lawful king, for Walby King but Charlie. There's ne'er a lass in all the land, but vows be late and early, shall ne'er to man gie heart or hand, that wouldna fecht for Charlie. Come through the heather, around him gather your all the welcomer early, around him cling we all your kin for Walby King. Let's get a new video going. Come through the heather, around him gather, come hold on, let me pull one up. Together and crown your rightful lawful king, for Walby King but Charlie. Here's a healthy Charlie's cause and be it complete and early. His very name were Heart's blood warms. Take arms for Royal Charlie. Come through the heather, around him gather your all the welcomer early. Around him between the first Europeans arriving in 1492 and the Victorian Age, the indigenous population of the New World dropped by at least 90%. The cause? Not the conquistadors and company. They killed lots of people, but their death count is nothing compared to what they brought with them. Smallpox, typhus, tuberculosis, influenza, bubonic plague, cholera, mumps, measles, and more leapt from those first explorers to the coastal tribes, then onward the microscopic invaders spread through a hemisphere of people with no defenses against them. Tens of millions died. These germs decided the fate of these battles long before the fighting started. Now ask yourself, why didn't the Europeans get sick? If New Worlders were vulnerable to Old World diseases, then surely Old Worlders would be vulnerable to New World diseases. Yet there was no Americapox spreading eastward, infecting Europe and cutting the population from 90 million to 9. Had Americapox existed, it would have rather dampened European ability for transatlantic expansion. To answer why this didn't happen, we need first to distinguish regular diseases like the common cold from what we'll call plagues. First, plagues spread quickly between people. Sneezes spread plagues faster than handshakes, which are faster than closeness. Plagues use more of this than this. Secondly, and importantly, they kill you quickly or you become immune. Catch a plague and you're dead within 7 to 30 days. Survive and you'll never get it again. Your body has learned to fight it. You might still carry it, the plague lives in you, you can spread it, but it can't hurt you. The surface answer to this question isn't that Europeans had better immune systems to fight off New World plagues, it's that the New World didn't have plagues for them to catch. They had regular diseases, but there was no Americapox to carry. These are history's biggest killers, and they all come from the Old World. But why? Let's dig deeper and talk cholera. A plague that spreads if your civilization does a bad job of separating drinking water from pooping water. London was terrible at this, making it the cholera capital of the world. Cholera can rip through dense neighborhoods, killing swaths of the population before moving onward. But that's the key. It has to move on. In a small, isolated group, a plague like cholera cannot survive. It kills all available victims, leaving only the immune, and then there's nowhere to go. It's a fire that burns through its fuel. But a city, shining city on the hill, to which rural migrants flock, where hundreds of babies are born a day, this is sanctuary for the fire of plague. Fresh kindling comes to it. The plague flares and smolders and flares and smolders again, impossible to extinguish. Historically, in city borders, plagues killed faster than people could breed. Cities grew because more people moved to them than died inside of them. Cities only started growing from their own population in the 1900s, when medicine finally left its leeches and bloodletting phase and entered its soap and soup phase, giving humans some tools to slow death. But before that, a city was an unintentional playground for plagues and a grim machine to sort the immune from the rest. So the deeper answer is that the New World didn't have plagues because the New World didn't have big, dense, terribly sanitized, deeply interconnected cities for plagues to thrive. Okay. But the New World wasn't completely barren of cities, and tribes weren't completely isolated. Otherwise, the newly arrived smallpox in the 1400s couldn't have spread. Cities are only part of the puzzle. They're required for plagues, but cities don't make the germs that start the plagues. Those germs come from the missing piece. Now, most germs don't want to kill you for the same reason you don't want to burn down your house. Germs live in you. Chronic diseases like leprosy are terrible because they're very good at living in you and not killing you. Plague lethality is an accident, a misunderstanding, because the germs that cause plagues don't know they're in humans. They think they're in this. Plagues come from animals. Whooping cough comes from pigs, as does flu, as well as from birds. Our friend the cow alone is responsible for measles, tuberculosis, and smallpox. For the cow, these diseases are no big deal, like colds for us. But when cow germs get in humans, the things they do to make a cow a little sick to spread make humans very sick, deadly sick. Now, germs jumping species is extraordinarily rare. That's why generations of humans can spend time around animals just fine. Being the patient zero of a new animal-to-human plague is winning a terrible lottery. But a colonial age city raises the odds. There used to be animals everywhere. Horses, herds of livestock in the streets, open slaughterhouses, meat markets pre-refrigeration, and rivers of human and animal excrement running through it all. A more perfect environment for diseases to jump species could hardly be imagined. So the deeper answer is that plagues come from animals, but so rarely that you have to raise the odds with many chances for infection. And even then, the newborn plague needs a fertile environment to grow. The old world had the necessary pieces in abundance. But why was a city like London filled with sheep and pigs and cows and Tenochtitlan wasn't? This brings us to the final level, for this video anyway. Some animals can be put to human use. This is what domestication means. Animals you can breed, not just hunt. Forget for a moment the modern world. Go back to 10,000 BC when tribes of humans reached just about everywhere. If you were in one of these tribes, what local animals could you capture alive and successfully pen to breed? Maybe you're in North Dakota and thinking about catching a buffalo, an unpredictable, violent tank on hooves that can outrun you across the plains, leap over your head, and travels in herds thousands strong. Oh, and you have no horses to help you because there are no horses on the continent. Horses live here and won't be brought over until too late. It's just you, a couple buddies, and stone-based tools. American Indians didn't fail to domesticate buffalo because they couldn't figure it out. They failed because it's a buffalo. No one could do it. Buffalo would have been amazing creatures to put to human work back in BC, but it's not going to happen. Humans have only barely domesticated buffalo with all of our modern tools. The New World didn't have good animal candidates for domestication. Almost everything big enough to be useful is also too dangerous or too agile. Meanwhile, the Fertile Crescent to Central Europe had cows and pigs and sheep and goats, easy peasy animals comparatively begging to be domesticated. A wild boar is something to contend with if you have only stone tools, but it's possible to catch and pen and breed and feed to eat, because pigs can't leap to the sky or crush all resistance beneath their hooves. In the New World, the only native domestication contestant was llamas. They're better than nothing, which is probably why the biggest cities existed in South America, but they're no cow. Ever try to manage a herd of llamas in the mountains of Peru? Yeah, you can do it, but it's not fun. Nothing but drama, these llamas. These might seem cherry-picked examples because aren't there hundreds of thousands of species of animals? Yes, but when you're stuck at the bottom of the tech tree, almost none of them can be domesticated. From the dawn of man until this fateful meeting, humans domesticated maybe a baker's dozen of unique species the world over. And even to get to that high a number, you need to stretch it to include honeybees and silkworms. Nice to have, but you can't build a civilization on a foundation of honey alone. These early tribes weren't smarter or better at domestication. The old world had more valuable and easy animals. With dogs, herding sheep and cattle is easier. Now humans have a buddy to keep an eye on the clothing factory and the milk and cheeseburger machine and the plow puller. Now farming is easier, which means there's more benefit to staying put, which means more domestication, which means more food, which means more people and more density, and oh, look where we're going. Citiesville. Population lots, bring your animals, plagues welcome. That is the full answer. The lack of New World animals to domesticate limited not only exposure to germ sources, but also limited food production, which limited population growth, which limited cities, which made plagues in the New World an almost impossibility. In the Old, exactly the reverse, and thus a continent full of plague and a continent devoid of it. So when ships landed in the New World, there was no Americapox to bring back. The game of civilization has nothing to do with the players and everything to do with the map. Access to domesticated animals in numbers and diversity is the key resource to bootstrapping a complex society from nothing. And that complexity brings with it, unintentionally, a passive biological weaponry devastating to outsiders. Start the game again, but move the domesticatable animals across the sea, and history's arrow of disease and death flows in the opposite direction.
Oh, the year was 1778. How I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. A letter of marque came from the king to the scummiest vessel I've ever seen. God damn them all. I was told we'd cruise the seas for American gold.
Look at the strange thing captured in this satellite time lapse. This is out in Siberia.
Okay, it looks like something flesh-eating.
You can see in this Cold War era spy satellite image that this chasm doesn't exist in 1965. And now it's a kilometer wide. This is called a thermokarst depression, and it's caused by thawing permafrost.
This, I assume, is the top layer sort of caving in as the bottom layer also melts.
Yeah, on these edges, the soil, the frozen soil is exposed to air, and that triggers landslides that sort of chip away at the edges. And one of those landslides revealed this incredibly old baby mammoth they called Yana, one of the best preserved ever found. There's also Luba and Chroma, who looks a bit sadder because she was discovered when a hunter saw a fox gnawing on her trunk. And what's crazy about this to me is the fox clearly found this trunk meat to be sort of edible, like it's that well preserved. And I even found some reports of humans trying mammoth meat, though they both said it tasted pretty bad. And you gotta wonder if the permafrost can preserve
to Montego Bay, pumping like madmen all the way. God damn them all. I was told we'd cruise the seas for American gold. We'd fire no guns, shed no tears. Now I'm a broken man on a Halifax pier, the last of Barrett's privateers. On the 96th day we sailed again. I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. When a bloody great Yankee hove in sight with our cracked 4-pounders we made.
Unbeknownst to most people, the eastern part of Oregon is in the process of slowly breaking away from the rest of the state. Now, we first covered this movement about a year ago in our program, but since then, there's actually been a lot of developments, and so let's go through it together. To start with, let me set up the background for you. You see, after many years of being essentially fed up with the policies that are coming out of Portland, over a third of the counties of Oregon have just voted to secede. Specifically, they voted to leave Oregon and instead to join the growing state of Idaho. This is called the Greater Idaho Movement. Out of the 36 total counties in Oregon, 13 of them have already voted in favor of secession. Because by and large, the people living in those counties believe that their own values are no longer being represented by their state legislature, which, as you would imagine, is dominated by the extremely liberal politicians coming out of Portland. And what's truly interesting about this particular movement is that it might actually succeed. Just like you will succeed in life if you smash that subscribe button right below this video, and that way you'll get notified of any new videos as soon as we publish them. That way you'll stay informed about what's truly happening in this country. Also, please smash that like button as well. Thank you. Now, getting back to it, just like most liberal blue states, the majority of the counties in Oregon are actually conservative leaning, similar to states like New York, California, and Illinois. And so, for instance, if we look at a county-by-county results map of the 2024 election, we'll see that the majority of the counties in the state of Oregon voted for Trump, whereas a minority of heavily populated counties voted for Harris. This same disparity also translates to the state legislature, because again, despite the vast geographic swath of the country voting red, you have both the state Senate as well as the state Assembly being heavily controlled by Democrats. And so, in order to understand the desire to secede, just put yourself in the shoes of a farmer or a rancher living somewhere over in rural Oregon, a 5-hour drive from Portland. Realistically, you have almost nothing in common, politically speaking, with the people of Portland, even though the politicians from Portland are the ones who are making the actual decisions that impact your life. You might not support their policies, you might not support their positions, you don't support what they're doing with your tax dollars, but basically, no matter what you do, the geography and the demographics of the state make it such that your voice over in the eastern part of the state will just never be heard, at least electorally. And that's really true. Both the Oregon State Senate as well as the Oregon State Assembly, they're both currently held with a supermajority by the Democrats, meaning that the Democrats can pass any piece of legislation without needing bipartisan support or needing to compromise on anything. They can railroad it through. And so this is where the Greater Idaho Movement comes in, with its plan to take the eastern counties of Oregon and have them join the very conservative state of Idaho. As you can see by the map on your screen, this would effectively move the state line of Idaho several hundred miles west. And as I mentioned at the top of the episode, this movement is really picking up steam, with more and more counties in the eastern part of Oregon getting on board. As of today, 13 different counties have approved various measures which require their local officials to begin the process of breaking away from the state. Quote, "The Greater Idaho Movement has won non-binding elections in 13 counties. Supporters have been holding town halls, selling hats and t-shirts, and erecting billboards with messages such as Release Eastern Oregon." For your general reference, the 13 counties are as follows: you have Sherman County, Morrow County, Union County, Wallowa County, Jefferson County, Wheeler County, Brooke County, Grant County, Baker County, Malheur County, Harney County, Lake County, as well as Klamath County. And just for your reference, by the way, in case you're wondering, when we first reported on this movement about a year ago, only 11 counties had done this. Now it's 13, leaving just 2 counties as the holdouts, Gilliam and Umatilla counties. And the reason that these 2 counties have yet to hold a vote is because the county clerks there are refusing to allow the movement to start gathering signatures. And so they are essentially stalling the process. However, given the, you can say, overwhelming support that these ballot initiatives are having in the nearby counties, it might just only be a matter of time until these 2 holdouts join the movement as well. But the big question here is whether this prospect of secession is actually going to go anywhere. Is it really the case that if all 15 of these counties vote for it, then the transfer can just happen? Well, not exactly. That's because according to Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, no new state can be formed within the jurisdiction of another state, or by joining other states, quote, without the consent of the legislatures of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. Meaning, in order for this to actually happen, it will require a formal vote in the Oregon State Legislature, a formal vote in the Idaho State Legislature, and then once the 2 sides come to an amicable agreement, it would require ratification by the U.S. Congress, which sounds like a long shot, but it might actually not. To start with, the lawmakers, as well as the governor of Idaho, are actually embracing this proposal. For instance, you had the governor of Idaho, Mr.
once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of that ship was the Billy o' Tea. The winds blew hard about it down, blow me bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She had not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore.
Hey guys, it's Nick, and I don't know if you know this, but it is the 100-year anniversary of the hyperinflation in Weimar Germany after World War I. So what better way to talk about it than here in Frankfurt, Germany, in front of the Frankfurt.
Came up and caught her, all hands to the side, harpooned and fought her when she dived down below. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day
Stock Exchange behind me, and the bull and the bear.
No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not on greed, but he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and
right here. So in this video, I want to talk about what happened, kind of why it happened, the things leading up to it, and I want to talk about the winners and the losers. And so that means the
Soon may the Wellerman Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Jobs, occupations that did well.
And the whale's not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew, and all. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
During the hyperinflation and the ones that surprisingly did bad.
I don't know why
And
it's
the
lagging
same
so
thing
bad.
with acid flash.
Maybe if I close my chat window.
Acids. Did real estate or gold or the stock market do better in those times or worse comparatively?
Yeah, I'm gonna close my chat window,
Let's
guys.
take a look. Most of my information comes from the book I recently read, When Money Dies. It is very interesting about the whole hyperinflation situation. And so to start it off, in 1913, the German mark, the Italian lira, and the French franc were all
Oh, you know, I think if I drop the bitrate back down,
worth about
that's probably what it is.
similar
I'll
amounts
drop
of
the
money.
bitrate.
So 4 of any of those would buy 1 US dollar.
Okay,
By the time of the end of World War I, it took about 7.5 marks to buy
Okay, cool.
1 US dollar. And at the end of World
A recruiting sergeant came away from an inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder?" The shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? The recruiting sergeant marched away from the inn near town at the break of day. Johnny came to with half a ring. He was off to be a soldier to go fighting for the king in a far-off war, in a far-off land.
See, I don't know if it's that my internet is running slow, and it's because yeah, because we were having internet outages this morning because of a storm that's going through our area. So I don't know if that's what it is or if it's like something else, but it's annoying.
They said he was a hero and not to grieve, for the 2 ruined legs and the empty sleeve. Took him home and they set him down with a military pension and a medal from the crown. But you haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, the enemy nearly slew ya. You'd have to go out in the streets and beg.
So they got rid of the gold mark and used the
A recruiting sergeant came away from the inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder?" The shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Oh, Polly, love, oh, Polly, the rout has now begun. And we must go a-marching to the beating of a drum. Come dress yourself all in your best and come along with me.
Paper mark because they knew they were going to enter the war and had to.
I'm gonna reload this video. Refresh.
Borrow a lot of money, and they expected that they were going to win and the losers were going to pay for all of this. Well, it didn't happen that way, and they ended up on the hook to France, and France wanted 154 billion gold marks, and they would not take paper marks in exchange for that. They would only take gold marks or other foreign currencies, which Germany had to buy with paper marks by printing more and more of it. Now, in 1919, they had a attempted communist revolution, and so because of that, and because of communist ideas do well when unemployment is high, Germany wanted to print as much money as it had to keep people employed in jobs all the time so that they are not susceptible to communist ideas. So let's talk a little bit about the winners and the losers in terms of occupations. The people that usually are doing well, the middle class, the doctors, lawyers, government workers, they did the worst because they bought a lot of war bonds, and those things were basically worthless after the hyperinflation. And not only that, but they did not get the raises like the people in the unions got, because they threatened to strike all the time, so they got raises while the professional class did not. So during the hyperinflation, it is said that a skilled mechanic made more than a factory manager, who made many times more than a government employee. And while the union workers did pretty well because they kept striking or threatening to strike if their pay didn't increase as the inflation increased. So the people who made out the best were the farmers, because they lived off the land and they had the readiest access to the real values as they were being produced, and they were able to increase their prices all the time and use that money to pay off their mortgages or buy real things, pianos, whatever, machinery that they can as soon as they got the money as they raised prices. For landlords, it was kind of a mixed bag, and so while the landlords couldn't raise the rent above the restricted rent price, they were able to pay off their mortgages early because the original mortgage was just a pittance as hyperinflation went up. And so rent restrictions had the effect of basically subsidizing workers and their company's profits. And because you couldn't raise rents to the market rate, nobody wanted to build houses, so there was a shortage of something along 1 million houses at the time, because who's going to build when you can't rent it for what the market rate is? And although the landlords did okay by paying off their mortgage, when the hyperinflation ended, some of those mortgages were re-evaluated back to 15% of the original gold mark price of their mortgage. So they didn't get away scot-free, but did pretty well.
I think if we can unlock slave centers, as fucked up as that
There's a
is,
story of
we
a
probably
foreigner
can
going out with $1 US with six
probably
of his
can
friends
populate
on a
Greenland
night out
pretty well.
in Berlin, painting the town,
Two
and they
Vikings
still had
slaves,
money
you know.
left over. And then there's stories
Vikings
of
need
the students,
slaves for the
the
long
foreign
ships.
students that were getting
England,
allowances from
get
their
ready.
parents back in their country, and they were using those
No, I'm
allowances
just kidding. But
to
probably
buy whole rows of houses
we'll probably
in Germany. So
take
the
some
asset
from down
class of
here,
real
build a
estate
slave
did
center down here, and then
decent
build
if
one
you were
over
able
here.
to hold the property
And then
until the hyperinflation ended, and now you
maybe
have
build
a
colony over
mortgage-free
here in
property.
the Azores.
So what about the stock
I don't
market?
know if
Did that
they've
do good
discovered
in
that yet.
hyperinflation?
Maybe
From
maps.
around 1914 to 1922, the stock market was up about 13 times, but the value of a gold mark was up about 143 times. So literally you lost probably about 90% compared to gold marks. And so an example of that is Deutsche Bank paid out a dividend in 1913 of about 25 million gold marks, but their dividend in 1922 was equivalent to about 1.5 million gold marks. So if you were a shareholder and expecting some dividends, they were significantly reduced from the value that they had some years ago. Another example of the reduced value of the stocks because of the hyperinflation was Daimler Motors, which is Mercedes-Benz before they merged with Benz. At the height of the hyperinflation, Daimler Motors could be bought totally, the whole stock, for about the price of 327 of its cars. And so that means land,
Of course,
and factories, machinery, organization, everything. So precious metals held their value, and it got to the point where there was barter and theft. And so the lead was disappearing from roofs, and gas was being siphoned from cars.
You know, the funny thing is that's
like
literally
brass
happening
and
now
fuel
with
were
copper
being
wire and shit in like LA on the streets and the street lights and the bridges and the wires. If people think it's not hyperinflation now, they're sorely mistaken. Like, it definitely is. I don't know what people think it's, you know, I don't know. Can we hire mercs? No, apparently not. So we'll be able to do this in 2 years. I wonder if we can do it with Sweden, or if it's just like with every country, you can only do it once. Huh. Okay, no, okay. So that makes sense. Oh, this fucking hat hurts my head. Ugh. This hat is like squeezing my fucking dome. I literally have a ginormo dome. Like, fucking giant ass fucking head. And it does not help when I'm trying to wear a hat. Because I just woke up. See, I almost wish I didn't have to have a headset on, but I don't have like a boom mic or anything like that, so whatever. That's fucking stupid. I don't know why people think you could like just keep that shit like hidden. Like they know what you buy. Like anything that's bought on a card, and even to a certain extent with cash, because you have to like put your ID in when you go to a pawn shop or whatever, or like no, not a pawn shop, but just anywhere like that, like where you like gotta like give your ID when you're buying something like that. I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but I know you have to give your ID when you're buying stuff like that. That he's talking about in the video. You can hear the YouTube video, right? Oh, maybe you can't. Oh, you can't hear the video. What the fuck? Huh. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna play the game, I think. Novigrad's always all of a sudden going really big on the colonization, it looks like. I wonder who's gonna get this bit, if it's gonna be Sweden or Norway. I would bet that if you played as one of these countries, say you like build forts here, or like I don't know, like up here where it's like one province wide. Yeah. So like fort here, fort here, fort here, or just like a bunch of forts up on that little bit and make them take a ton of attrition. Why is there no sound in the game? I didn't even notice that before because I was listening to YouTube. It's almost time that we can invite settlers. Oh, you know what? Each one of these little drops down and then whatever. on the chart is probably a rebellion. Something like back here. Back here. One of these is probably the black flag though. Probably this one. I wonder what the migration tab is looking like. Or migration map mode. Guys, I kind of want to swap to my playthrough that I was doing in Spain. Do you care if I... Well, I think I might do that honestly later, but... let's see. Province here, right? Dude, I'm so far behind on tech in this game, this run. I feel like Greenland is okay, but like it's very hard to do good at all. I've built up the province a little bit too. It's like I built it up a decent amount, but like just from where you start, you know what I mean? Like, it's very difficult. like if we can get rich off of trade in this campaign, it'd be pretty good. Guys, I might go get breakfast and like kind of put myself together before. I just woke up and then went downstairs, let the dogs out, and got some water. I didn't really like shower or anything yet, so I wanted to do that real quick. So I'll hop right back on, but yeah, I don't. We'll see what we do. But I might, give me a second, okay, because I don't really know, once we, we're gonna boost stability spending to max, and same with diplomatic. Just max out spending on our different things, sliders. Because I think we at this point are making enough money off the trade and like income from buildings. Now we make a little bit of like expenses on buildings, but actually let's see what's if we didn't have this, we'd be losing money actually. Or what is this? Monthly gold. Monthly religious. Oh. Okay, never mind. That's for the Pope. Alright guys, give me a second, I'll be right back. good, fresh and clean. Fucking Mr. Clean over here. Good shower. Got some breakfast or lunch, whatever you want to call it. Alright, nice. Let me just comb my hair and then I'll pop on webcam. Alright, cool. Alright, let me rewind this video I was watching. Okay, cool. Let me see. Okay. What the fuck? I feel like this girl's a little bit like, I don't know. Hold on, let me pop it off on I don't know why it's not showing the video I'm trying to play. Okay, let me, oh, there we go, cool. So now we got this, let me pop that up there. Alright, here we go, boys. Now let me just one more time put this in a picture-in-picture. Oh, okay, there we go. Cool.
opportunity. The question is whether or not you have the ability to. And a lot of people that don't have the ability to complete tasks and accomplish things automatically point the finger.
It doesn't become a fish. Now, I'm a naturalized American, but I'm not going to say that I'm an American. I'm American politically, but not culturally. The Chinese dude was born in this country, and therefore he's American by birth. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make him American culturally.
Why? Why doesn't it make him American? Doesn't he live here?
No, culturally, I mean. When you talk about white people, the founding fathers of this country were of the same uniform background, WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They have a culture, a religion, a language, a history, and they want to protect it. This is the home of their children. This is what they build for their children, and you came in as a guest. The guest will never take over a house. Never happen. Number two, I really would support the white man, okay, for the dispossession of white, as he's saying, because you see, he's trying to protect you and I.
Cool. So
because if this country falls into the hands, the majority of the wrong people,
also, I don't agree with everything in
whatever
this video,
attracts
but I
us to
just
come
wanted to
here
watch
will be
it,
gone,
so.
and we will never be able to come here.
Let's
That's
put the
right.
music in the background so
That
we don't get a copyright strike.
Immigrants wouldn't be able to sustain America or sustain civilization. Is that what you're saying? That we don't have the capacity to do
Well,
that?
I'm not saying it, I'm only describing it. Have you taken a look at Haiti recently? Would you, even as an immigrant here, want Haiti to become the majority in this country?
I mean, Haiti,
have you taken a look at some of
Haiti
the African countries, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all these countries that are flocking to come to this country? If they could maintain where they are to look like this place, then they wouldn't be flocking here, right? So the point the gentleman is making actually is in my interest, in the interest of people from outside who should still have an America they can come to.
But you're only describing developing countries, right? You talked about Haiti, you talked about Somalia, you're talking about other developing countries.
Well, you can see an undertone what he's saying. He will be.
Well, he also mentioned Middle Eastern. He also he doesn't like. Well, he doesn't appreciate, I guess, Asians, Middle Easterns, blacks, or anybody who's not white.
Why do they expect us to? Why? Why would they do? Why? It makes no sense to build America for Africans, for a white man to build America for Middle Easterns, because we're European. That's our culture. That's who we are. It's ingrained in us. They get so mad that not everybody wants to live like Africans and Middle Easterns and things like that. This is European American culture, and you can adopt that. You can still have your culture on the side, but it's always going to be predominantly European American.
You're saying
dispossess his race. Yes.
So you're saying that because immigrants are coming into this country, that they wouldn't be able to maintain the white picket fence, the greenery. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, to God, you and I don't have to look very far away at all. Have you taken a look at any black neighborhood in America recently, starting with Boston, starting with Detroit, starting with Baltimore, with Bridgeport, Waterbury? Have you seen them?
I mean, I understand those are cities that are failing.
Exactly. Now, imagine
blaming it on the black people. We're not putting responsibility or accountability on the city or anything like that.
The city is made up of those people. The city is only with people that live in it. The place is only as good as the people who live in it.
Yeah.
America is only as good as it is that attracted people from around the world based on who built it, established it, and maintains it. If we can build and maintain public toilets in our country, we can maintain this complex infrastructure in America. You seriously, as an immigrant, think that if this country falls in the hands of some countries that you have just mentioned, we still have an America that will attract people from West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, Asia, and all other places.
See, but a lot of black people think that they built America. They think that slaves built America. They say, oh, well, one in five people in New York, back in the day were slaves, and they built up New York. They did not build New York. 80% of New York was built by Europeans. And yes, immigrants too, but they failed to mention that the immigrants were Dutch settlers and European indentured servants. They weren't Indian, they weren't Muslim, they weren't African, they weren't Mexican, they weren't any of that. They were white immigrants. So, black people are having this huge battle right now where they're like, black people built the country, not immigrants, and they're pissed off at Mamdani for saying that immigrants built New York, but it was white immigrants. So the slaves that were there that helped build New York, it was before all of the major subway systems, infrastructure, and all that stuff. So they didn't build any of that. Slavery was done by that time. So they really like to stay on this black slaves built America. And it is just not true. It is so far from the truth.
So why is he so even concerned that there's going to be white disposition when they already own everything, they already maintain everything? What are you afraid of? Why is he...
He's just saying, let's keep it the way it is so people can keep coming here.
No, the reason why people come here is because there's an engine to work, there's not manufacturing anymore, but there are
opportunities.
Yeah, there's opportunities.
Yeah.
So, this lady's complaining that white people own everything. There's plenty of white people who don't own everything, and it's not like that's their fault or like whatever. It's just how the fucking luck of the draw goes, And I think that people don't understand that everything has been generational, not in the sense of what they talk about, but for example, elites from Europe came over in the 1900s or whatever, or 1800s, and they built the businesses, and the businesses just stayed in those families. So it's the elites never really changed hands from Europe, and the problems from the old world basically migrated to the new. And that's basically my opinion, is the problems of the old world with the aristocracy migrated to the new, and from here to here, and from there I think it's eventually gonna have to be the case that people who want freedom in some kind of way have to go up, and not up to here or the Arctic or whatever, but up to the stars. And I think that's gonna happen someday. So just on a hopeful note, let's resume the music in the video.
Yeah.
The people he doesn't want displaced. They created the opportunity that began to attract the world.
Yes, the European mindset created these opportunities.
The founding fathers of this country, who were later colonized, the United States of America was founded by white people. Yes, they stole it from Indians, fine. Whoever want to say that. They stole the land, fine. We are talking about what it became. It became what is now attracted to the entire world.
How would you describe America right now?
In what sense?
In the sense of who runs America right now?
Who runs it?
Yeah.
The administration, you mean?
Not just the administration. So the way he's describing it is he's basically saying, I don't want all of these people here because I want...
No. Dispossession, what? Meaning that.
So it's okay to have all these people here.
But they are here already.
Yeah, they're here already.
Exactly. He's not saying that he's angry that people are here. He understands what immigration means. So he understands that The dispossession means that if these people become the majority, my children will have no future. They will have no culture, no language, nothing.
But we
That lady is talking down
No,
to this.
you came into my house. My culture was there before you arrived. I can guess.
But we're coming with cultures. We're coming with customs.
What people do in
I don't know why, but
They think that because they're coming here and they're louder than we are and they're more, colorful in a sense of the way they dress and things like that, blingers, blingy, and all this stuff. They think that means we don't have culture because we don't have that. That is our culture, quietness, and they would call it plainness. If that's what they want to call it, then that's fine, but it's not plain to us. They can't see that because they don't have the European mindset. They don't have that, so they don't see it. They don't see our culture because they're not us.
Beautiful about America is this. If you go into somebody, so we have migrants and immigrants, right? Migrants go to a place just to have better life, work, make money, and go home. Immigrants go to a place in order to have permanent residency. Now, if you choose to go to a place to have permanent residency, there are two things you need to do, okay? To keep the growth of the country, the development of the country, and whatever it was that attracted you. One, segregate yourself as the Chinese do nicely in Chinatown, so you can protect your own little culture in Chinatown. Or the rest, assimilate.
Okay, but immigrants come here, they work, they build businesses, they're the ones who are the doctors, they're the ones
He's
who are
not complaining about that. He's talking about you becoming the majority, which means things would have fallen into the hands of the majority.
So,
it's all he's concerned about.
So when they fall into the majority, things are just going to fall apart.
So we're saying it from where you came from. That's what drove you out of this place. I wouldn't even want somebody to come here. And I'm saying that that this complex infrastructure can only be managed and has been managed for 250 years.
By when?
That's correct.
And
then it became a place.
They're the only ones who understand administration. They're the only ones who understand how to maintain.
The country is built on a culture.
So you're saying
without that culture, America wouldn't be.
So you're saying if minorities and immigrants come together and they're working in an administration, they won't be able to maintain a city. They don't have the capacity.
You don't have to ask me that question. I'm just simply saying the people.
He tries to let them come to their own conclusions.
Wait. He's not concerned about Germans coming to dispossess whites. It's not talking about.
Because they're already white.
That's correct. It's not. No, he saved their country. Okay. I wouldn't worry if a bunch of Japanese are coming to my country. I know wherever they would occupy, because I've seen where they're coming from. He's not just saying blankly that no foreigner should come to this. He said, if you become the majority, my children will have no more.
So he also said if the policies that Trump administers will help white people. So how does he even have the audacity to even say it? How does he even feel?
Okay, that's what I said from the beginning. I'll take the Trump policies out of it. There's no single American option. Trump said, I'm going to clean up the country with violent illegal immigrants. Any country will do so. And I'll tell you something. The United States of America, all the way from the 60s, 70s, all the way to the late 80s, was the only country among all the industrialized countries that was very friendly to illegals. America never chased illegals in the streets.
Must have to my Castile campaign, guys.
Never did. In the 60s, ask anyone who lived in Europe.
America has been kind to anyone. European countries have been kind to anyone. Anyone is able to come here and, make the best of yourself. You have the opportunity. The question is whether or not you have the ability to. And a lot of people that don't have the ability to
May the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's tail came up and caught her.
What the heck? All her content is. What are you doing now?
One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. The captain's mind was not onto the whaleman's crew. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. For 40 days or even more, the line went
There has been an ongoing debate as to whether the Irish were the first slaves in the Americas, predating the first black African slaves by almost a decade. Slavery is perhaps one of the oldest profit-making endeavors in human history, and the Irish were a special target for 1,000 years.
Throughout history, the Irish were persecuted by one faction or another, to include enslavement and indentured servitude. When did the Irish first become slaves? How long did the selling of the Irish continue? Who was responsible?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps Scout Sniper, history professor, historian, and book author. And we will answer these questions and other issues on this segment of Forgotten History.
Some groups deny the Irish slavery under English and later British rule, claiming that this was nothing more than voluntary indentured servitude, which did exist. However, there are counter-arguments that will be challenged here. There is a legitimate dispute as to the numbers enslaved, especially during the 17th century before the Act of Union in 1707. The official British legal terminology used was indentured servants. Whether the servants in question willingly signed an indentured contract to immigrate to the Americas or were forced to go, many were forced. Therefore, those transported unwillingly and effectively sold were not considered to be indentured. This included political prisoners, vagrants, convicts, political activists, thieves, prostitutes, or people who had been defined as undesirable by the English government. The Irish introduction to slavery was during the first Viking raids in the year 795, lasting through the mid-9th century. This period saw the Irish killed and enslaved. Just like many other societies, the Vikings attacked. Most of these early raids were along the northern and eastern coast using hit-and-run tactics. The Vikings would then flee with treasure and slaves and return to either their holdings in Scotland or back to Norway. Usually, many slaves who were of value were ransomed back to their families, but others remained in captivity. Then, from the year 837 onward, larger targets such as the greater monastic towns of Armagh, Glendalough, Kildare, Slane, Clonard, and Clonmacnoise, and Lismore were hit by larger forces. These large-scale raids generally spared the smaller local churches and villages far inland, but slaves were still taken, mostly to Scotland and Iceland. In 875, Irish slaves in Iceland launched Europe's largest slave rebellion since the end of the Roman Empire, when Fulfiled, Holmar's slaves killed and fled to Vestmannaeyjar. In 841, the port that became known as Dublin was taken and occupied by both Olaf and Ivar the Boneless. And by 853, this part of Ireland was a Norse trading center, and slaves were a large part of it. The slave trade did not stop with Ivar's death in 873. Finally, in 902, driven out of Dublin by the combined forces of Brega and Leinster, but the Vikings came back. And this seems to be explained in the Whitehall document from November 18, 1656. Quote, "The Council of State to Captain Wilkinson, importance of the Somers Islands to the interest of the Commonwealth. Supposition that the Spaniards will endeavor to get a footing there. Doubtful that a principle of disaffection may yet be retained by some of the inhabitants. He is encouraged to attend to his duties as commander of the fort, to keep a vigilant eye upon the malignant and discontented party, that they may have the less opportunity to prejudice the island's safety, and to use his best endeavors to secure the interest of the Commonwealth." End quote. This referred to the Irish population that must have been slaves, and they feared an uprising. No reason to worry about indentured service. So, whether one accepts the reality of Irish slavery or not, the fact remains that there were Irish people forced into slavery. However, the exact numbers may never be known.
We hope you enjoyed this segment of Forgotten History. Please click like and subscribe for free. And please stay tuned and be engaged and informed. Send us comments if you have questions or even show ideas, and we will respond to all requests and comments as soon as we can. Thank you. Would you like to munch along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cock's hat and a musket at your shoulder? The shell and he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya?
Oh Polly, love, oh Polly, the rout has now begun, and we must go a-marching to the beating of a drum. Come dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the cruel wars in High Germany. Oh Harry, dearest Harry, mind well what I do say. My feet they are so tender and I cannot march away. Besides, my dearest Harry, I am with child by thee, not fitted for the cruel wars in High Germany. I'll buy you a horse, my love, and on it you shall ride, and all of my delight shall be walking at your side. We'll stop at every alehouse and drink when we are dry. Be true to one another, get married by and by. Oh, cursed be the cruel wars that ever they should rise, and out of merry England press many a man likewise. They took her Harry from her, likewise her brothers three, and sent them to the cruel wars in High Germany.
Let's see what the Trade Valley recap leads to. Let me unpause the video.
Debate as to whether the Irish were the first slaves in the Americas, predating the first black African slaves by almost a decade. Slavery is perhaps one of the oldest profit-making endeavors in human history, and the Irish were a special target for 1,000 years.
Throughout history, the Irish were persecuted by one faction or another, to include enslavement and indentured servitude. When did the Irish first become slaves? How long did the selling of the Irish continue? Who was responsible?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps scout sniper, history professor, historian and book author, and we will answer these questions and other issues on this segment of Forgotten History.
Some groups deny the Irish slavery under English and later British rule, claiming that this was nothing more than voluntary indentured servitude, which did exist. However, there are counter-arguments that will be challenged here. There is a legitimate dispute as to the numbers enslaved, especially during the 17th century before the Act of Union in 1707. The official British legal terminology used was indentured servants. Whether the servants in question had willingly signed the indenture contract to emigrate to the Americas or were first to go. Many were forced. Therefore, those transported unwillingly and effectively sold were not considered to be indentured. This included political prisoners, vagrants, convicts, political activists, thieves, prostitutes, or people who had been defined as undesirable by the English government. The Irish introduction to slavery was during the First Viking Wars in the year 795, lasting through the mid-9th century. This period saw the Irish killed and enslaved. Just like many other societies, the Vikings attacked. Most of these early raids were along the northern and eastern coast using hit-and-run tactics. The Vikings would then flee with treasure and slaves and return to either their old homes in Scotland or back to Norway. Usually, many slaves who were valued were ransomed and others remained in captivity. Then, from the year 837 onward, larger targets such as the greater monastic towns of Armagh, Glendalough, Kildare, Slane, Clonard, and Clonmacnoise, and Lismore were hit by larger forces. These large-scale raids generally spared the smaller local churches and villages far inland, but slaves were still taken, mostly to Scotland and Iceland. In 875, Irish slaves in Iceland launched Europe's largest slave rebellion since the end of the Roman Empire, when Hrólfr Hólmarsson's slaves killed him and fled to Vestmannaeyjar. In 841, the port that became known as Dublin was taken and occupied by both Olaf and Ivar the Boneless. And by 853, this part of Ireland was a Norse trading center, and slaves were a large part of it. The slave trade did not stop with Ivar's death in 873. Finally, in 902, driven out of Dublin by the combined forces of Brega and Leinster, but the Vikings came back in 914 and reclaimed all the territory, taking more slaves. But Irish resistance was not over. In 980, the Irish, under Mael Sectional Domhnall, King of Meath, fought and managed to defeat the Vikings and freed all of their slaves. Some Vikings who remained assimilated and adapted to Christianity and became part of Irish society. The final nail in the coffin regarding Vikings holding land and taking slaves was in 1014 at the Battle of Clontarf, when Brian Boru, High King of Ireland, attacked Dublin, aided by his allies, the Limerick Vikings. They fought other Irish allied to the local Vikings in Dublin, and Boru's force won, and all the slaves were again free, thus ending the legacy of constant Norse raids, whether from Danes or Norwegians. The period forced enslavement and severity ended a century after the Norman invasion of England in October 1066. Subsequent Norman rulers of England eyed Ireland, and slavery in its true form was abolished in 1102. In 1155, Pope Adrian IV supposedly gave Henry II of England a papal bull, granting the king the authority to invade Ireland. However, many historians believe that this authorization was a forgery. Regardless, Henry II of England faced excommunication for the murder of Thomas à Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, so it is possible. However, Adrian's successor, Pope Alexander III, granted the lands of Ireland to Henry II, although it was not his land to give. The Norman conquest of England and Ireland were cataclysmic events that would shape Ireland as well as world history, and create tensions with England
he has
for the
good
next
information
800
in his
years.
videos, but
The Normans were initially invited to Ireland by Dermot MacMurrough, the deposed King of Leinster. He is sometimes referred to as Dermot of the Foreigners, and his grandmother was the granddaughter of Brian Boru. In October 1171, King Henry II landed in Ireland and allowed Dermot to recruit soldiers and mercenaries, as Ireland was made up of several kingdoms at war with each other. The city of Dublin and the surrounding area were under Norman occupation and would be called the Pale, or the safe zone. Going beyond that was considered foolish, hence the term we use today, going beyond the pale. But the Normans ended the practice of slavery in Ireland, but not serfdom, for at least a few hundred years. Despite the Norman abolishment of slavery, serfdom was still alive and well. Serfs were, unlike slaves, bound to the land, and the land
there's thunder all around me, and there's poison in the air. There's a lousy smell that smacks of hell, and dust all in me hair. And it's go, boys, go. They'll time your every breath. And every day you're in this place, you're 2 days there or death. And it's go, boys, go.
I told you guys I was let go today. After
I'm kind of glad they finally get to see what younger people have been dealing with for a long time. The title of the video is "Older Workers Are Getting Laid Off and Can't Retire." Not that I wish that upon them, but like, it's just, at least now they know.
This many dollars to retire.
So with the ongoing mess that is the job market in 2025, the layoffs are not slowing down one bit. But one aspect that I'd like to dive into a little bit more are the older workers getting fired. I'm not saying that it's easy for any age right now in this climate, but as we've seen, corporations are trying to cut costs any way they can. And who better to let go than somebody who's been working there for decades and most likely has a higher salary than their coworkers. Then getting back into the job market becomes extremely difficult because of the competition on top of the rising popularity of AI in the workforce. And many of these people do not have the option to just retire and live out the rest of their life. They absolutely have to find employment. The entire situation is just a mess. We have a lot to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below.
Well, we have a lot of folders available.
So I just woke up realizing that I don't.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll
I'm unemployed. Wow. There was a lot of crying going on yesterday because the shock value is low.
I wonder if we go to war with
Someone's gonna be better at
with Grenada to take their.
Dude, wow.
I know we can, but I don't know.
Anyway, I'm excellent in my job. I'm freaking amazing at my job. I'm a writer. I'm head of I do social media. I do newsletters for companies. I do press kits, press releases. I'm actually a ghostwriter as a side hustle that I can't turn into a full-time thing at the moment, but I don't think people are going to hire me because they don't want someone 58.
And in my opinion, I think that's a pretty tough age because it's still too early to retire unless you already have a nest egg. And I mean, with the way things are going, that probably needs another decade of work. I know 65 is the age talked about the most right now, but I'm starting to see 67. I wouldn't doubt 70 or 75 by the time my age group starts getting up into that range. There's going to be a good amount of people who never end up retiring, but that's a topic for a different video. We could take a look at one of the comments here. I was laid off after 25 years from AT&T when I was 52. I found another job. Take everything off your resume prior to 2000 so you don't give away your age. So now you have to start hiding things from potential employers. Obviously, you can't do much about it when you have an in-person interview. We'll see some experiences later with that, but we have another experience from you guys here. I'm part of these people. I got laid off back in September of 2021 after working for the same company for 26 plus years. I got laid off 2 days after my 51st birthday. I was fortunate enough that I worked there for long enough to get a little bit over a year's severance. I now found a job in a totally different industry and starting my working career all over again from the bottom up. I mean, most people that age would assume that whatever current line of work they're in, they'd be doing until they end up retiring. But unfortunately, that's just not the case for an increasing number of people. They have to start from square one at 51 years old.
I told you guys I was let go today after 20 years. No reason given. No conversation. No one called me. Just formal letter. And then I found out that someone I thought had my back was holding the knife. And that's got me kind of shaken. I can be, despite my snarky nature, I can be naive sometimes, and I didn't see it coming. Feeling pretty down.
I mean, whatever situation happened with a possible coworker is one thing, but my takeaway is, again, 20 plus years of employment, and they send you an email to can you. Nothing in person at all, not even a Zoom call or AI. You just get a random email in your inbox and boom, you're gone. See ya. I know I say this virtually every time we talk about the job market and layoffs, but it's really not surprising why people don't have company loyalty at all anymore. Why would you?
I work with tons of people. I coach a lot of people, and I am seeing an alarming trend. It's so bad. They wait, these corporations are waiting to, these people, these talented people, give 20 to 30 years of their life to the business, and then right before retirement, they are firing them. They're terminating them. They are putting them on PIPs.
Alright, I'm going to delete all my forwards. I don't care.
Reviews. What I'm seeing a trend in them being labeled, right? I'm seeing a trend in them being spoken to through emails or whatever, as if they are losing their memories. They're being gaslit as if they're being given directives when they haven't been. And that type of stuff is being put on performance reviews and PIPs. And the purpose of that is they're creating a paper trail to get them out because they're this close to retirement.
Doing all this to fire their own employees, on top of course, trying to dodge things like severance or possibly pensions. Those are increasingly becoming a thing of the past, but that's exactly what they're doing, leaving a paper trail with all of these emails, giving different reasoning of why they're firing you, instead of just you costing the company more than they want to pay you because you've been there for so long. And it would be much easier to hire somebody out of college, give them bare minimum pay, they'd still take it because it's better than no job, and they'd be able to overwork them because they have a mountain of student debt. Some of the comments here, this has been going on for years, and it's a big reason why younger folks have no loyalty to corporations. There you go. Ageism is real, they fire us and we can't get hired in other places. 27 years of experience just gone. Almost the length of my entire life to a company. There's a ton of clips like this I've found on TikTok as well, when your 64-year-old father gets pushed out of his job 1 year before retirement. And if you think that this is all just conspiracies, this isn't actually happening with these big companies, we could take a look at this next example.
We need to talk about this leaked internal memo from Ally Bank. Here's the concerning part, and if your employer is doing this, you need to call a lawyer. The president says we will offer select employees who are 63 and a half years and older the option to consider a voluntary separation. You might be wondering, holy cow, that's obviously illegal. It's obviously age discrimination. No company would do that. And you would be wrong. HP just paid $18 million for the same shenanigans.
I think we're going to change it to production methods on automated.
And they're going to owe you a lot more than whatever pennies they offer to kick you out the door.
See, last time I put bounce on automated,
my company has done this a few times, offered early retirement so they could either lay off or on another occasion hire new employees for, of course, much lower pay. The concerning part also is that if you refuse their offer, they usually try and find a way to push you out, which is why most of the time people would take the deal. Once you get hit with one of these options, it's well known that they don't want you to work there anymore, so they could start doing some of the crazy stuff like we saw a couple examples ago. Sending you emails, gaslighting you, making it look like you're not 100% all there in the head. I don't know. This just sounds absolutely insane to me.
So when did Gen X become the unemployables? I didn't really think I saw that 5 years ago when I left corporate. I should say corporate kicked me out. Curious if you out there also feel that you're unemployable, but all the signs from big corporate are showing that that's exactly the case, right? The trend of, well, the Gen Xers aren't moldable to new technology, which is crap, because we've led and managed through multiple technology revolutions or evolutions, like mobile, digital, internet, etc. We have too much experience, but we're too expensive, and I think that's the bottom line from many big corps right now, is they'd rather take expense out of the business than leverage the expertise that Gen Xers can bring to it.
We have a comment from one of you guys that goes along with this. They want a 20-year-old with a work ethic of a 30-year-old, the maturity of a 40-year-old, and the experience of a 50-year-old who will work for the salary of a 10-year-old. So I think one of the biggest takeaways of this entire video, even if you're much younger than most of these people, because a majority of my viewership is anywhere from 25 to 34 years old, that this is kind of showing the blueprint of what's going to happen to us in 20 or 30 years at our current jobs. So it really doesn't matter how old you are currently. Everybody's going to have to start dealing with this eventually.
Are there any other Gen Xers out there that are jobless and impossible to find a job? Or is it just us? My husband and I have been out of work, and we've been doing side hustles, but it's barely keeping us afloat. And come this next month, all savings is deployed. It won't keep us afloat. And we just need to find a job. Nobody's calling. We're sending out resumes. Nobody's calling. He's got 2 interviews. Both ended up filling from within, so they say. And it's just like scary. Nothing prepared us for this. To be in our 50s and wondering how the heck we're going to survive.
I know some people's game plan is to get to that retirement threshold and then hopefully be able to live on Social Security checks. We're already seeing examples today that that's just really not the case. But with examples like this of people in their 50s, they still have a long way to go, 10 to 15 years until they could possibly start thinking about that kind of stuff. We have another comment from one of you guys. I think the retirement crisis will get even worse. A lot of people can't save because of the low-paying jobs, inflation, and insane rental rates. And now that home ownership is out of reach for many middle-class Americans, they won't have a house to retire with either. I know that this is a pretty grim video so far, but we're going to transition over to a very interesting story that I found of another older worker getting laid off, but the story goes a little bit deeper.
No, what the fuck we're gonna lose? Well, at least that's gonna wipe away our debt.
I actually had to go in the office, which the only time I go in the office is when the receptionist isn't in, and the receptionist is going to be in today. What other reason could there possibly be for me to go in the office if I'm not working? I don't know. So I don't start technically until 7:30, and it's 7 o'clock right now. I don't know if there's anyone in the office right now, so I'm just going to wait a little bit. I don't know. So I may be unemployed in a couple minutes. I've been here for 10 years.
Okay, so initially this looks like another one of the TikTok videos that we've seen 100 times before. Not sounding too good for this person who's been working there for a decade, but we go right over to the second part of the clip.
Yeah, I got better. After 10 years,
Nobody lives here no more. Had a life that they tried to save, but the banks took it all away. On the sign on a torn screen door. Nobody lives here no more.
Knows me, I don't bully people, and I was not finishing tasks, and I was taking phone calls during meetings. I did. like it was for my daughter's sake. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Put in 10 years at this place, and literally just go. I guess there's no warning. You just get used to it. So, anyway, I'm available.
I think we should just go straight over some comments with this one. As someone in HR, I just know that this wasn't the first time they were talking to you about this. Big party at your office tonight. I work in HR, and they don't fire someone for bullying unless they have hard proof. Without it, they just have a big liability on their hands for wrongful termination. So this video kind of got flipped on its head, basically admitting to bullying people at work and getting fired from a decade-long job because of it. And she decided to upload another video explaining in more detail, which did not help her case at all. So along with the obvious issues we've seen in the video so far, workers having a difficult time finding jobs in this market right now, she decided to record a video for the entire world to see of her getting fired, talking about all the drama at her work, when it sounds like it was her fault she got canned in the first place. This makes it infinitely harder for a future employer to want to hire you, because if there's any drama, you're just going to go right over to TikTok and make another video. Why would they use the risk? More comments on this post for Josh here. You need to do some self-reflection. Falsifying the time card is exactly what you're doing. You're clocking in, but doing personal things that stuff the company time. Freely the internet on social media, not a good idea. I just know the office was clean, openly side with an employer, crazy, kind of shoot yourself in the foot for a little bit of TikTok attention does not seem worth it to me. But I've also seen some clips like this showing that the job market is completely fine. All you need to do is work with me and we'd get you a job.
It is a hot job market. It does not matter your age. I just helped a gentleman in Boston get 3 job offers in less than 8 weeks. He went from making $134,000 a year to $185,000 a year, and he didn't look 65. He looked a little older than that. So, if you're struggling in your job search, get in touch with me ASAP. Send me a message here on TikTok. Link with me, send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn, Peggy McKee, Career Coach, Career Confidential, or send me an email at coachpeggymckee@gmail.com. But let's get it done. It's the best market we've had in 15 years for employees. Salaries are bigger, offers are quicker. Let's make it happen.
So this isn't too surprising, because her job is to try to get other people jobs, just kind of ignoring the fact that we're in a terrible job market, especially for the age group that I guess she specializes in. Because we could go right over to a comment from one of you guys. 58.
Call it when we get these guys all grouping up in a unity block.
Years old. I'm a nurse of 25
The unity block,
years in
the
clinical
grand
research.
unity block, the Iberian unity block. Hawk, 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 hawk. Lappity duckity duck. Alright, let's see if they'll take a defensive league, maybe. Oh no, because then they're at war with France, so then they'll probably call me into that. I'll do that after they peace out. Actually, first off, I want to slow the speed down and I want to balance the budget real quick. So we're going to drop this. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, it's because we have, like, minimal money. Probably once they win, we'll be fine.
Was laid off in February. I've applied to over 1,000 jobs. And have not yet had a single interview. Went to the unemployment office and the lady behind the desk said to me, "You have a fantastic resume, but if you get an interview, they aren't going to hire you. You're just too old." That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but we could keep going on with the different clips and experiences that other people have had.
If you work in corporate, I hate to break it to you, but they don't care about you. I was laid off 2 days after I was given a $10,000 raise. And also I was working on this big project that we were soon to be launching. And also
its ups and downs, that really is quite profound. I'd like to push the capstan.
I was close with my boss. He told me, your job is safe. Nothing's going to happen to you. And it did.
The ocean we'll do adore, so come on boys, let's pump some more. Don't worry if you're stiff and sore, I'm sure we've pumped that bit before. Pump me boys, pump a dry, down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones with just 1,000 miles from home. The captain's daughter, I suppose, could be called an English rose. What do you think when I proposed the pop she gave to me a dose? Pump me boys, pump a dry, down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones with just 1,000 miles from home. The rose.
It's time to pay the piper.
No matter what they tell you, no matter the amount of money they...
Okay, let's fix this. I think I don't see. One thing I noticed is that when you lose a campaign, you have to reload it to get it to calculate the numbers and stuff for the income.
They can let you go at any time, and it is a terrible thing that they can do that. I could never do that to somebody. Don't get me started on the friendships at work. Your friendships, people that I thought I was so close with, people that I've traveled with, people that I thought were some of my best friends, haven't even called to reach out. Nothing. So don't.
They'll get in trouble if they do. They're not risking their job for you.
Your blood, sweat, and tears into a company, into
The skipper's in the wardroom drinking gin. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Well, I don't mind knocking, but he ain't going in. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That gin, he's laughing like it had rained. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. He's looking at me, copycats again. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That chicken on a raft on a Monday morning. Oh, what a terrible sight to see.
people that just aren't going to care. They don't.
Sitting there picking at a chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Now get me the middle and the forenoon too. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. I'm pulling on a whaling crew. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Seagulls wheeling overhead. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. I ought to be home in me feather bed. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That chicken on a raft on a Monday morning. Oh, what a terrible sight to see.
Okay, so the $10,000 raise.
Sitting there picking at a chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. I had a little girl in Donny B. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. And did she make a fool of me? Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Her heart was like a passer's shower. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Run hot, too cold in a quarter of an hour. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That chicken on a raft on a Monday morning. Oh, what a terrible sight to see. That toes forward and the dustman off. Sitting there picking at a chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. We kissed goodbye on the midnight bus. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. She didn't cry, she didn't fuss. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Am I the one that she loves best?
Before you get hands, it sounds insane. That's what some of the comments say. Why would...
Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That chicken on a raft on a Monday morning. Oh, what a terrible sight to see. Tap toes forward and the dustman off. Sitting there picking at a chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. An Amazon girl lived in Dumfries. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. She only had kids in her 2s and 3s. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. She's got a little sister in Mary Hill. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. She said she won't, but I think she will. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. That chicken on a raft on a Monday.
They give you a $10,000 raise and lay you off 2 days later. I know.
Tap toes forward and the dustman off. Sitting there picking at a chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft. Hi-yo, chicken on a raft. Hey-yo, chicken on a raft.
Decision makers aren't just waking up that morning and deciding they're going.
Our boots and clothes are all in pawn. There's flame and drafty round Cape Horn.
I wonder if we'll make if we disband these troops. It's on the back.
Oh, your pigs and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. Me dear old mother, she said to me.
To lay people off today.
Sometimes I forget that you can use the army to suppress rebels.
Oh, your pigs and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. It's around Cape Horn where I must go. To chase the whales through the frost and snow. Oh, your pigs and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. You've got your advance and to see you'll go. To chase the whales through the frost and snow.
More in advance. That's a weird case. I agree. It sounds.
Yes, around Cape Horn you've got to go. For that is where the whalefish blow.
So very odd, but still adds into the fact that there really is no.
Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Yes, growl you may, but go you must. If you growl too much, your head they'll bust. Oh, your pigs and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. Just one more pull and that will do. For we're the boys that kick our throat. Oh, your pigs and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down.
The sky was gray and cloudy and the wind was from the west when we spied a battered frigate with her tattered sail full dressed. They signaled they had letters home, they asked if we could take. They dropped them in a barrel, they left bobbing in their wake. We reefed the sails and slowed the ship to fish the barrel out. The old ship sailed to the distance, then we saw her come about. The captain watched through a spyglass when we heard him catch his breath, and we saw the storm a brewing had become a wall of death.
Turn the ship around, me boys, turn around and run. That storm, it wants a battle, and it's sure that we're outgunned. What of the ship that's out there, do we leave her to the gale? She's called the Flying Dutchman, and it's rage that fills her sails. The
The thunder growled like demons and the lightning stabbed the waves. And the Dutchman, she leapt towards us, riding fury from the grave. Our captain, he stayed at the wheel, the crew, they manned the lines. And still that ship and storm were quickly closing in behind. Our ship would crest a giant wave and crash to the trough below. And the crew held on to what they could, they were damned if they let go. The rain and sea and storm winds crashed against our ship with wrath. And from the deck of that cursed ship, we could hear them laugh.
Turn the ship around me, boys, turn around and run. That storm, it wants a battle, and it's sure that we're outgunned. That ghostly ship is hunting us, it's bringing on the gale. She's called the Flying Dutchman, and it's rage that fills her sails.
That was when we sighted land, it became a race with time. We believed in Santa Marta, the Dutchman closing in behind. Risk it all, the captain howled, it's the only chance.
I feel like even though we went back, or well, I don't know if we went bankrupt actually. I think we just
we get caught.
What was this? We need to get our hair married.
The storm was all around us and the Dutchman caught our wind. The beast nearly capsized us and we watched our strong mast bend. We were almost to the harbor, we could see the natural break. And each man willed her forward for they knew what was at stake.
Turn the ship around me, boys, turn around and run. That storm, it wants a battle, and it's sure that we're outgunned. That ghostly ship is hunting us, it's bringing on the gale. She's called the Flying Dutchman, and it's rage that fills her sails.
Once we charged into that harbor, the Flying Dutchman heaved away. And we heard their bitter screams, for the devil lost his prey. Once we made it safely to the leeward of the bay, we cracked that barrel open to see what those letters say. There must have been 100, and that's when we realized these moldy parchments were addressed to those who'd long since died. If you see a battered frigate neath a gray and stormy sky, give way and watch behind you, or you'll hear your captain cry.
Turn the ship around me, boys, turn around and run. That storm, it wants a battle, and it's sure that we're outgunned. That ghostly ship is hunting us, it's bringing on the gale. She's called the Flying Dutchman, and it's rage that fills her sails.
I feel like it kind of takes a second to get used to where everything is and
loyalty or job security. To be honest, now in 2025, there's a
was there in London town for a poor man's son like me. So I left my home and I went to seek my fortune on the sea. I signed aboard a merchant ship bound for the West Indies, and 6 weeks out we tacked into the winds of piracy. We spied sails on the horizon and we tried to make a run. The pirates raised a black flag and our running it was done. And when those pirates boarded us, well, they told us one by one, you can die or join our crew, me boys. Time flies when you're having rum. Time flies when you're having rum, me boys. Time flies when you're having rum. When you're sailing under the black flag and you're firing all your guns. When you take a Spanish treasure ship, you divide by the rule of thumb. The wars will be over soon enough. Time flies when you're having rum. With a pistol to my forehead, well, my choice was all too clear. I took leave of that merchant ship and became a buccaneer. And though they spared my life, I think that if the truth be told, I joined them for the promise of adventure, rum and gold. The quartermaster handed me a gunless and a gun. And as I signed their articles, the captain told me, son, us gentlemen of fortune live life fast and on the run. So step right up and take your share. Time flies when you're having rum. Time flies when you're having rum, me boys. Time flies when you're having rum. When you're sailing under the black flag and you're firing all your guns. When you take a Spanish treasure ship, you abide by the rule of thumb. The voyage will be over soon enough. Time flies when you're having rum.
Apple Music Live is shut. Yesterday. Hey, lady. That's not how it works. I'm gonna put it on autoplay, guys. Or I don't know, maybe not, but. Yeah, we're gonna build a bunch of fishing villages and market villages. Market village to produce goods that we need, and fishing village to build the trade capacity and the local food capacity. I'm gonna pause these videos. These are annoying. Get annoying my nerves. Fuck off, lady. Yeah, whatever. Shut up. I don't really care. But yeah, I'm just gonna play the game. I don't really feel like listening to a video and doing commentary at the same time. I feel like just doing commentary right now. So, you know, let's see what we got here. Let's do the prosperity in Bilbao. We'll do a fishing village in Cadiz. Well, that's fine. What happened to our fleet, though? Do we have a fleet? I think I'm gonna build like kind of like 3 naval bases, or maybe 4. One for the Pacific, or one for the Atlantic, one for combating England and France, one for Mediterranean combat against the Barbary pirates, and one for exploration. So we're gonna focus on the exploration one first. Build up Cadiz and this whole Gulf along the coast of Sevilla, and then we'll build one in Murcia and Cartagena. This one's gonna be for the galleys. Over here we're gonna build the Atlantic combat fleet, or I guess that's more like an Atlantic trade fleet. And then, because it's coming in right on the little current. And then up here in, I don't know where we're gonna build it. We'll probably build it in Bilbao or Santander. So we've got this thing going on here. Yeah, we're gonna do that there. Although we have iron there, so it could be good to produce, where is it? Rural smelter. Local iron output, yeah, that could be good. But we want to do some construction of, actually, you know what? We should probably build our navy back first. So I'll focus on, I'm much are the upkeep for the Iberian caravels? What's the upkeep for these? Actually, we don't have enough sailors for this, do we? Where is this one? This one's up here. This is going to be our fleet to combat England and France once they stop fighting each other. So we'll build to that fleet. We'll build early Iberian caravel. We'll build on here. And oh, it's in the same city. Okay, cool. And we're gonna build a fort in. Actually, no, we don't want to colonize that. Speaking of colonizing, one thing we might want to do is we might want to build settlements in the areas that got depopulated during the Black Death. So probably what we'll do after we build up the trade capacity in this coastline. Well, I want to build the market villages first, so let's do that. We'll pay that off. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Buildings need inputs. Sevilla Market tar for one building. Burgos Market, books and ivory. Okay. Tar, what can we build? Tar buildings. Tar kiln. And Sevilla Market, let's do it somewhere with wood. So I think there's wood. Where's our wood? Okay, let's go on. Raw materials. We have lumber here. Lumber here and lumber here. Build one. I think it's crazy how literally all the resources over here are livestock. Like, you would think they would have some iron or like lumber. I mean, I guess it's just the steppes, right? There's probably a lot of lumber up here. Surprisingly not as much as you would think. I don't know. I know there's coal in here somewhere. It's not here. I don't know. Let's pay off that loan we took. So at least. So it's costing some money. It's mostly our hospitals and stuff and our religious buildings. That's fine. Okay, fine. Unlock that. Unlock the religious influence. For if we conquered this. Army tradition, we want that. Army morale, take that. Okay, we'll stop there for now. Recalculate in a bit. I'm just basically using my levies as a standing army. I don't know if there's any downside to that, but I don't really care if there is. I'll figure it out later. Probably in a bad way, but whatever. Let me pull chat up on my other monitor rather than like just not having anything up on that one. At least now I can view what you guys have to say. So yeah, I'm basically just working on building up my economy after the Black Death. I'm gonna pay off this loan though, or some of it at least. Can you not do that now? You used to be able to. Huh. Maybe they changed that. I'm kind of glad we rushed on our. I'm kind of glad that we rushed the hospitals and building them in all our cities, because even though it caused our income to go down, I think it was good not to lose all those pops. So that's good, in my opinion. But whatever. Oh, we have cotton here. Build some. What's it called? Row cloth maker. Couple levels of that. I feel like as good as EU4 was for playing tall or playing wide, EU5 is for playing tall. You know what I mean? Like I feel like EU5 is like kind of OP when it comes to playing tall. Like that's the way to play. I know there's other ways to play, but like it just seems like it's really good that way. You know, I don't think that's worth upgrading it. Because even though we need the lumber, we don't have enough workers to work it, so that's fine. We'll upgrade this. Okay. Hamburguesa. It's good that things have stabilized a little bit in our country now. I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll what is this? Effective control 100%. Develop the interior. Sponsor a cathedral. Do a census. Okay. Let me build another. Where is it? Actually, maybe we should build a tower thing. So, what do we need for our buildings? We need missing inputs, books. Oh, that's how that works. Okay. I didn't really know that was a thing. I didn't really know the papal influence is a thing in this game. So you know how like in EU4 you have like the papal influence or whatever it's called? I guess in this game it's called like in EU5 it's called where is it? Religious influence. And what you can do, what I was thinking is you go right here, right? Call for crusade and then boom, Granada, and then I get a bunch more papal influence. Or whatever it's called, religious influence. Jenny. Fucking Forrest Gump right there. I'm gonna probably build more roads in a little bit. So I think that I want to do. I don't want to build this. Where do I want to build them to? By the way, what I'm doing by upgrading this market village is I'm trying to build up a supply of weapons in the south of the country. So if you see right here, I'm oh, did it change? Why did it change? Okay, give me a second, guys. I think it's on automation. Yeah, I don't want that on. Okay. But yeah, I'm trying to build up a supply of weapons in the south of the country. So when we go to war with Granada, we have a bunch for our army. So what I want to do is we want to go here. Raw materials. Let's see what we have here. So we have lumber. Where do we have stone or iron? The closest iron, it looks like, is up here. Wow, that's kind of far away. We have tin here. Tin and copper. So we could build like a tools thing here. Where's our nearest town? Location ranks, which one is it? Okay, it's 4. So our nearest town to the iron and copper is it's not really one close by. It would be this one if we did upgrade it. Actually, you know what I just realized? We probably can wind up doing pretty well on our Greenland campaign. Oh damn, all this one just got hecka tired. I think it's just my eyes hurt from staring at a screen. Let me see. I'm gonna raise my kilobit rate per second. Let me go into OBS, guys. 1 second, guys. Let's go here. Raise the bit rate. Encoder settings. Raise that to 6,200. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. Should work fine. I'm gonna build a bunch more fishing villages, I think. What the fuck is this? Oh, cardinal seat. Okay, so we're gonna build a market village. What can we produce here? Beer? I don't know. Computer. What's our closest resource? Fiber crops, gems, lumber. Okay, so we'll produce weapons. So let's go on this market village. Click on here. Go to weapons from lumber. Why the fuck is this doing that? Who's Granada allied with? Okay, so we want to do as a debt, get it paid off, so we don't have the interest hovering over our head. That's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna enable, once this is done, I'm gonna start them on. I know, we should probably build a mason up here just to develop this area a bit, because I've kind of been ignoring this area on accident. I mean, obviously it wasn't intentional, but like, just like unintentionally I've been developing the south. So when we can, we're gonna build a mason here. And we're gonna have it use, wait, can we not use marble at a mason? Maybe marble is for something like art or something. I like how everything shows up on this little like icon right here that's built in the province. I think they first got that kind of developed on that one game. I forget what it was called. The one they released a while ago, the kind of city builder civilization type of game. I think it was like what the fuck was that game? It didn't turn out too well, but I did think it had some good concepts in it. It just wasn't designed greatly, but it was the game called what the heck was it called? Dang, I don't remember. There, I'm gonna build a mason here, or a market village, and then have that produce jewelry. Where's our iron? So there's a lot of iron in Aragon. Same within okay. I honestly wouldn't be opposed to playing another run as Banca Bardi or Prado, either one. Yeah, now there's definitely a reason not to spam bailiff because of the local noble's power. I don't know if that was there before, but that's probably how you get a rebellion. Wait, since when can I make glass here? The heck? I think we're gonna build a bunch of fishing villages down here to get sailors built up. thinking what we're gonna do is we're gonna build some sand pits down here and then try and in one of these cities or one of these little rural locations, probably here because it doesn't have anything yet, so there's a lot of pops to employ. Probably what I'll do is go here, build a sand pit, and then we're gonna build a market village and have it produce glass, because I think glass is kind of high value right now. And surprisingly, it's not actually that hard to transport for, or like that expensive to transport and trade. Oh, I'm mainly doing this parliament to get a claim. I don't know what it would give us. Probably best to choose this province right here or this bordering bit of Morocco. I don't know. Oh yeah, that. Okay. Let's build this market village. And go there. Market village, have that produce glass. What the fuck? Okay. Let's see. From here we can do a mason here. Although actually we probably will wanna, do we wanna adjust this? Maybe just expand it. I'm gonna expand this province that has medicine producing here. It's basically medicine. I'm gonna expand the production on that when I have the money. So we'll do that and go back. Made myself a mocha earlier. It's like a good chilling, drinking a mocha. I wonder what buildings improve. Is there like a Wikipedia on this? Or should I just use Copilot? Okay. Holy shit, there's a ton of buildings. 5 pages this long. I need to build libraries. I want to improve my people's literacy. Oh, cool. I can actually build these. So where I build it so fast. Population's highest in Sevilla. I'll build one there. What is this? Oh, what the fuck? Are we at war? Huh. What? Oh, no. Oh, hold on. My dog wants to come in my room. I don't know why these people rebelled. They don't have shit for territory or land. What's their army? So they have an army. No, sorry. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, never mind. I guess I had to kill all their armies, huh? Okay, cool. Nice. Let me change the objective on here. How do I do that with? Oh, whatever. What does this dude look like? let me go over here to Parliament. We have our armies raised. Okay, never mind. Huh. Okay, we have to do that later. I don't know, I guess it's time to out. Honestly, you know what you can do? You can kind of just use your levies as a professional army. Anywhere as good, but like if you just like keep them up, you basically can like run them as like fucking garrison type of thing. Like they don't have the combat benefits of a professional army, but it's better than like, I don't know, regular, so. What the fuck's their income negative? I wonder if this is costing us more money to probably is to have our armies raised. It's actually not. this. Okay. Obviously I know that. Hey guys, I might end the live. I'm pretty tired. I need to do some stuff like IRL, and I don't know. I woke up heck early, so yeah. I'll be live tomorrow though, probably same time. I'm normally live from like around like, I don't know, like 6 or 9 to like 12. So yeah, I'll hop off now, but had a good time hanging out with you guys, and I'll pop on later. Probably tomorrow, but yeah.